28-year-old Meekiah Wadley lived in Richmond, California in 1999. One evening in January, a neighbor of Meekiah heard screaming coming from her home in the 1300 block of Carlson Boulevard. The neighbor went to her residence and knocked on the front door. The screaming continued for approximately 30 seconds. The neighbor then retreated to his apartment and called 911. Officers found the front door locked, but the back door was unlocked and partially opened. Once inside the home, investigators found Meekiah's body on the floor of her bedroom. Her hands were bound together with shoelaces. She had been smothered. A buck knife was located under her body. Investigators were able to find DNA and fingerprints belonging to the suspect at the crime scene. Their initial investigation focused on a man she spent the prior evening with. That person was ultimately ruled out as a suspect. There were no other investigative leads and the case went cold. In 2002, a mixed DNA profile was developed from swabs collected from Meekiah's hands and a bloodstain at the crime scene. This DNA profile was submitted to the California Department of Justice to search the offender database. Unfortunately, there were no matches. Then, in 2020, additional DNA testing was requested. This time they focused on the previously untested fingernail clippings and ligatures. A male DNA profile could be developed from Meekiah's fingernail clippings. In October of 2020, the DNA profile created by the Contra Costa County Crime Lab was submitted to the California Department of Justice DNA Databank program to conduct a familial search of the state DNA index system. Then, in April of 2021, California Department of Justice and Bureau of Forensic Services and Bureau of Investigation agents presented the results of the requested familial search. The Department of Justice's investigation revealed a person who was a potential first-degree relative of the male suspect, but the relative was ruled out as a suspect. Then finally, with the assistance of the Contra Costa County District's Attorney's Office, detectives were able to track down an immediate relative in September of 2021. A buccal swab was obtained from the person and submitted to the crime lab. On September 17, 2021, Richmond police received notification that the buccal swab from the relative confirmed that Jerry Lee Henderson is the man whose DNA matched the fingernail clippings from Meekiah. Investigators discovered that Henderson passed away due to an overdose just 11 days after he took Meekiah's life. Nevertheless, Richmond police hoped the revelation would provide some measure of closure for her relatives. California Attorney General Rob Bonta had this to say: "Over the course of more than 20 years, law enforcement working this case never gave up. It is my sincere hope that this resolution brings the family of Meekiah Wadley a measure of peace. Nothing can ever bring back a loved one, but we're committed to doing all we can to help bring the truth to light in the fight for justice." Acting Richmond Police Chief Louis Tirona added, "It is my hope that this news brings needed closure to all those who knew and loved Meekiah Wadley." Some of Meekiah's family members also spoke at the press conference. "Answers might not come today, but it will come tomorrow. It's going to come," said Meekiah's sister Quila Wadley. "My favorite auntie. She was beautiful, outgoing, and smart. Loved to hang out and have fun," said her niece Davina Peterson. Meekiah's family says Henderson was a friend of a friend, but that there were no other relationship besides that. "15-year-old Kenya McClintock and 16-year-old Kevin Drinks met in 1978 in Philadelphia. They were high school sweethearts. He took her to the senior prom at Germantown High, but they broke up shortly after graduation. 2 decades later, in the year 2000, Kenya and Kevin reconnected. Kenya's mom passed away and Kevin stopped by to pay his respects. They got married in 2001 in front of more than 100 people at the Unitarian Society of Germantown Church. Kevin serenaded Kenya while she walked down the aisle. He was a talented singer from a long line of vocalists in his family. In 2011, they bought their dream home in Ronhurst, Pennsylvania. Kevin found work at a furniture store in North Philadelphia as a delivery driver. Just a few months after buying the house, Kenya received a call from Kevin's youngest brother. He was frantically screaming and telling Kenya to get to the hospital. Kenya thought that Kevin might have been in a car accident and raced to Hahnemann Hospital. There, she learned that Kevin had been fatally shot behind the furniture store where he had just started working. It made no sense to Kenya. Kevin was a church-going grandfather who sang gospel music and loved spending time with his family. Who would want to take his life and why? Despite investigators' best efforts, they could not provide any answers to Kenya's questions. She passed out flyers and buttons and t-shirts calling for justice for Kevin drinks in the area where the shooting occurred. She called her elected officials imploring them for help. Kenya also had to deal with rumors that Kevin was maybe involved with bad people. She also got frustrated seeing more and more cold cases solved while Kevin's remained open. Their dream home turned into a space of painful memories and also fear. As she did not know who targeted her husband, she wondered if she was safe. Kenya then moved. She prayed and pressed officials for answers and then prayed some more. Then finally, in 2018, she got news that she had been waiting for so long. Philadelphia police detective John Verracchio called her. He had been listening to recordings of jailhouse telephone conversations and heard something relevant to Kevin's case. Chad Runnels was accused of taking the life of a 22-year-old man 2 months before Kevin was shot. Chad was worried that a key witness was going to testify against him. He then plotted with 3 other men, Michael Blackston, Samaj Armstead, and Rashawn Combs. They wanted to silence the witness. Instead, they somehow shot Kevin Drinks, the wrong man. Kenya had wanted answers for so long, but when they finally came, they were gutting. In March of 2022, Runnels, Blackston, and Armstead were convicted and sentenced to life in prison. Combs' sentencing is scheduled for June of 2022. District Attorney Larry Krasner said he hopes this case shows Philadelphia that there are a lot of people in law enforcement who consider no case to be permanently cold and who are always trying. Kenya expressed her frustration about the case that went unsolved for so long, but she also praised what she called her dream team. It consists of Assistant District Attorneys Ashley Toxilowski and Christian Wynn, along with Witness Victim Coordinator Kathy Lees. Kenya was quoted as saying, "People can say, oh, that's not really justice because he's not here. He's still gone. But my husband can rest in peace. That's how I look at it."